Hello, Habaneros. Kent here for your marketing minute. Today we're going to look at using Facebook's audience tools to hack your market size, which is going to be really fun. So come, let's hop right in. I just want to show you the power of Facebook's targeting tool more generally. So it's pretty much a given that anybody really has Facebook now. So let's do a little test. We happen to be in the beautiful city of Toronto. So let's pull up the population of Toronto. So I'm on Wikipedia here, and we see that the city core of Toronto has 2,700,031-ish people. Interesting. Okay. So now inside of Facebook's ad manager, you can just type in Toronto. And by default, it's going to pop this radius, 25-mile radius around. So we don't want that because it's going to give us this inflated number here of 3,700,000 people. So let's just cut that right down to current city only. And look at that, 2,700,000 people. So it's off by 30,000, but on Facebook, you can only target people who are 18 to 60 or 18 and 65 plus. A lot of people, like babies, don't have Facebook, and some people just don't have it. But it's pretty amazing when you look at just how close these two numbers are. So hopefully that just gives you an idea that any kind of targeting that we're going to do on Facebook is going to give you a pretty reasonable representation of what that's going to be in real life. It's not going to be perfect, but it's the best thing you can get for free without paying for a lot of very in-depth marketing reports. Okay, so now that you are convinced that the Facebook targeting tool is accurate, let's look at our Hubba case study. So we're going to be looking at the Bharat Babies brand today, and it's a really unique, interesting brand because what they do is they make children's books specifically for people of Indian descent or of Indian heritage. And they're one of our favorite brands in the kids, babies, toys category on Hubba, and we've decided to pick them for this case study because it's a very specific audience that they're going to be targeting. Clearly, these books are not going to be of interest to everybody. So we can see that Bharat Babies is located in Cambridge. One of the things that I always like to do is just figure out my addressable market within my geographic region. There's a lot of reasons why you might want to target just your geographic region. Maybe you want to do an event. Maybe you want to meet local customers that you can easily drive to. Maybe you want to just feel pride in your city and want to know that a lot of people in your backyard are using your products. So targeting on your location is really interesting. But sometimes the product you're selling just might not be applicable to the people in your geographic area. And in fact, with the world being as flat as it is now, with e-commerce and the internet, a lot of times you could start a business in one area of the world and service a completely different area of the world. But it's interesting to know how big is that audience in my backyard. So if you go into the location view here again, remember we put Toronto in here before, now we're going to put in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and let's put it down to 10 miles, a little tighter circle here. So we got this nice circle now around the Cambridge area. And again, we're targeting all ages on Facebook, all genders, no targeting yet. And we've got around 2,800,000 people. Okay, so let's think about who is really likely to buy one of our books. Well, they're children's books. So probably parents or people expecting a child. Facebook has an incredible targeting mechanism. And if you look in this detailed targeting section, you can just click on browse here, and you can just see all these different areas that you can be targeting on. Birthdays, anniversaries, travel, interests. That's where, tons of things like what are you interested in? What movies do you like? What kind of cars do you like? Things that are not applicable to our example, but just shows you what you can target and why the Facebook ad platform is so popular. What we want to look at is this beautiful parent section here. And in fact, we're only targeting people who are interested in children's books,
So we don't want necessarily people with older children. So let's say 0 to 12 months, 1 to 2 years, 3 to 5 years. Let's even keep it at that. So that's kind of a good, let's actually do 6 to 8 as well. Again, you'll know your audience better than me, but this is what I would do. Great, so now we're looking at, again, Cambridge, all ages, all genders, people who are parents with children under the age of 8. So we've already knocked that down to 93,000 people. That's pretty cool. That's a nice addressable market size. But we can go even further because the books that we're looking at are specifically about the Indian heritage. So an easy place to start would be people with some connection to India. Facebook has another targeting called expats, which lets you look at people who lived in a certain place at one point, but now live somewhere else. And you can see here that what I clicked on was narrow audience. If I put the secondary targeting that I want to do in here, what it's going to do is an or targeting. So it's going to give us people who either are one or the other. That's not really what we want. We want to refine and narrow our audience to go deeper and deeper, which is more of an and relationship. So if you think here that if we narrow our audience, it's now saying, so we're going to then say expats India. And there's a behavior there for that. And if we had, again, put that up here, then we could just be targeting all expats of India or parents who match these criteria. Because we clicked that narrow further, we're now looking at the and situation. So you can see that we've cut down drastically, almost too much. We're now in the reds. That's terrible. Well, not really, but it just shows you that of the people that Facebook knows were at one point in India and now are not, who live in Cambridge, who match all these criteria, there's only 1,300 people. That's not really representative. So you got to be a little more creative here. So maybe you would try something like, what about people who are just interested in India? Already you can see that that's jumped up a lot. So there are now 8,000 people who match that criteria who are interested in India. But then you kind of have to think, is that really what we're looking for? Like, do people just say that on Facebook, I'm interested in the United States, I'm interested in Canada, I'm interested in India? It's probably unlikely that people are just going to say that. So a great thing to think about is something that's very unique to your group that you're trying to target. And in our case, we have a really good one because we can target by language. So there are a lot of different languages that are spoken in India, but one of the most popular ones is Hindi. So if we focus on Hindi, so now we can see people who are, again, in our Boston region, who speak Hindi and are parents with children under the age of 8. And we've learned something really interesting here. There are fewer than 1,000 people on Facebook that are matching this criteria. So what that tells you is in their backyard, there might not be a large group of people that Bharat Babies could target in their specific geography. But again, that's okay. This is the age of the internet. You don't have to just market within your little community. So let's just expand this out. Let's say you want to look at just the United States in general. There you go. Look at that. 24,000 people. That's a much better audience to be visualizing and thinking about in your head. Gosh, if I could just get our books into the hands of these 24,000 people in the US, that would be incredible. What if you added India? $450,000 people. I mean, now all of a sudden your addressable market jumps to some very large, super great number. Let's just focus back on the US for a moment. And let's say of that 24,000, you've just got some more information. Let's say you know that it tends to be the mothers who are buying these books. Then you can say, great, let's look at just how many women are in that group of the 24,000. Makes sense, right? There's parents, around half of them will be women. So again, it shows you how accurate Facebook's targeting is. So now you've cut that in half from 24,000 to 12,000. And maybe you say, you know what, from our data, it tends to be people who are, between the ages of 25 and 45 who are buying our books. So now you can refine it even more. And you can go down to 11,000. So you can just use these really simple targeting techniques to start to build an idea in your head of how many people are there in the world that I can reliably target based on some of the attributes of my product. So this is not an exhaustive list. Obviously, we could go a lot further, a lot deeper, but hopefully this gives you an idea for how you can hack Facebook's tool in order to size up your audience.
Well, that's it. Hopefully you learned how to use Facebook's audience tool to hack your market size. It's free, it's easy, and we just scratched the surface on all the different targeting options you can use. If you've got specific questions about your brand or your company, feel free to leave a comment or find us on Twitter and ask. And stay tuned for your next Marketing Minute. Have a good one, guys.